And this is why I think that the 2020s will look very similar to the 1940s. In 1947, the CPI was over 19%. And 2 years later, it got all the way down to -2. So we go from 19% inflation to 2% deflation. Right. And then we had another wave that went right back up to 12% inflation. And so I would not be surprised if we peaked out a couple months ago, and at the Q4 of 2023, we go to a point where we're in actual deflation, let's say -2, -3, maybe even -4. But then in 2024 or into 25, we get that next leg up where the CPI goes to maybe 15 or even 20%, like we saw in the 1940s. Yep. And we just ride this roller coaster throughout the rest of the decade. In this next wave of consumer price inflation after the disinflation or deflation, the central planners will come out and say, we're going to keep interest rates very low to make sure unemployment stays low. But to combat inflation, instead of raising rates, we're just going to put in price controls. And that's exactly what they did in the 1940s. And that's exactly what I am predicting, or my base case for what we'll see in maybe 2025 or 2026. But one thing I'd like people to realize, and this is some good news, is that currently a central bank digital currency is illegal in the United States. And this is per the Fed. So per the Federal Reserve Act, the Fed is not allowed to do business with individuals. So the good news is, as long as individuals that value freedom, liberty, and free market capitalism, as long as they come together and make sure that the central planners don't change that law or break that law, then we dramatically reduce the probability that we go into this Orwellian nightmare. But we can see, let's go back. We were talking about Canada before we hit the record button. And, you guys had the trucker movement. And I truly believe that if it wasn't for Russia invading Ukraine, because that took the whole emphasis off the trucker movement in like a matter of 3 days. If it wasn't for that, I think that trucker movement would have completely changed the world. Not just Canada, because you saw those things springing up in New Zealand, in the United States, throughout Europe. And so that just goes to show you the power that we, the people, have if we come together as a unit and push back against the central planners and the authoritarians. Is that the bigger the crisis, the bigger the opportunity. And I truly believe that going into 2024 or 2025, when we're on the back end of whatever is coming our way, that you're going to be able to buy stuff very, very cheap, and stuff that you're going to want to hold for the next 10, maybe even 15 years. So what is that cheap stuff that I'm looking to buy? That'd be commodities. That would be gold miners. That would be oil. That would be coal. That would be iron. That would be copper. That would be uranium. And right now, they might be a little expensive, but that's the good news with economic depression. If we get it, as those commodity prices come down, that's when you take your dry powder, buy it on the cheap, and then ride it all the way up.